Today we're going to talk about whether or not children should be prevented from going to the masjid. Now currently we are in the month of Ramadan, and during the month of Ramadan, more people than ever come to the masjid, specifically to break their fasts and to pray Taraweeh. Now Taraweeh is an optional prayer that comes after Isha, and it can go late into the night. And as a result, there are many children who are unsupervised while their parents are praying. Or in many situations, the parents might not even be praying. They might be breaking their fast for iftar, but the children are just running amok. Now, just to be clear, I am all for children coming to the masjid. I would say that most children that come to the masjid are relatively well behaved, but sometimes, and I feel like more and more over the years, it's getting out of control. This here is a video that went viral, got 4.3 million views, and Allah knows best, but it appears that during Taraweeh, this kid was allegedly bullying this man's son, which led to the man smacking the kid. And this you can see is inside the masjid. You can actually hear in the background recitation of the Quran. But this isn't even what motivated me to record this video. What motivated me to record this video is I saw another post of someone saying, stop leaving your kids unsupervised at the masjid during Taraweeh because abuse can happen. So even though I was overlooking some of the bad behavior of certain children, when this specific point was brought up about abuse that could potentially be occurring, I said, you know what? Something needs to be said. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, all of you are shepherds and each of you is responsible for his flock. So if you are going to bring your flock to the masjid, you need to make sure that you are taking care of them and preventing them from being harmed, but you also need to make sure that they are not harming others. Literally, last night, I went to a specific masjid, and this wasn't even during Taraweeh. This was right before iftar. Everyone was waiting to break their fast. And I literally, with my own eyes, saw two kids, and they were young, elementary school kids, and they were trying to break into this steel storage closet. And I saw that they were trying to open it, so I went up because I thought they would have some shame and be like, oh, there's an adult here, and we're obviously trying to break into something at the masjid. But it didn't stop them. The kid then pulled it even harder and bent the metal storage closet open. So I just took out my phone, I took pictures of them, and I went to the brother who's like overseeing the affairs of the masjid. And I showed him my phone and I explained to him what happened. And he was so overwhelmed by everything going on, of all the chaos that the children were causing, telling me about how they're even turning the foldable tables into slides and sliding down them and breaking them, that he either has to shut down iftar, or, I mean, he felt, basically, it seemed like he felt helpless. Now listen, I am all for children coming to the masjid. I think it's very important to bring them to the masjid. I don't even mind a little disturbance, some crying, some fussing, some running around, but sometimes things are completely out of control. Ideally, every single parent would take this hadith seriously and be responsible themselves for their own flock. Make sure that their children are not unsupervised and causing problems. However, clearly, unfortunately, that's not the case. So I highly encourage communities either to hire volunteers or ideally have paid positions where the masjid has certain rules and there are people there designated to make sure those rules are implemented. We should not come to the masjid and hear kids cursing. We should not bring our kids to the masjid and have other kids attacking them and hitting them. Kids shouldn't be running around breaking things, leaving food and trash everywhere, making a mess, because Islam is balanced and we need to weigh the pros and the cons of bringing our children to the masjid. If you cannot take care of your child, and if the masjid does not have the resources where there are authority figures making sure that rules are implemented, then it is better for certain families to keep their children at home. Pray tahajjud at the house, because this environment is making going to the masjid unbearable. Sometimes, unfortunately, I will leave the masjid, and rather than feeling like, mashallah, I got closer to Allah, that was such a great spiritual experience, I'll be thinking about how disgusted I am by some of the behavior that I saw. And again, that's not even mentioning the possible abuse that can happen when you're at the masjid late at night, and it's dark, and you're in one place praying Taraweeh, and your children are, Allahu alam, Allah knows best where they're at, what they're doing. So scholars have mentioned that it's actually recommended to bring your children to the masjid with the condition that they do not disturb the worshipers. So in closing, I just want to mention, I think most of the kids in our communities and most of the parents do a great job. However, at the same time, I do think that this has become an issue to the point that it needs to be addressed. And I don't want children to stop coming to the masjid. Even the ones who misbehave. They might be the ones who need to come to the masjid more than anyone else. But my point in recording this video is these children have to be overseen by their parents. And I highly encourage the masjid to hire people who can oversee what's going on at the playground, what's going on in other parts of the masjid, and have specific rules that are enforced. Inshallah, this is first and foremost going to protect the children themselves, but then it's also going to create a proper Islamic environment. When people go to the masjid, some of them, they need to be guided. They need to know, this is the masjid. We don't speak that way. We don't behave this way. You should fear Allah. And they should be prevented from even thinking that that's a possibility, because they know there are rules, there are codes of conduct, and all of us as a community should be implementing them ourselves and enforcing them to our children and the rest of the community. Allah knows best. Thank you for watching. May Allah bless and guide and protect our children and make it easy for us. I understand being a parent is difficult, but all of us are shepherds and all of us are responsible for our flocks. Allah knows best. jazakumAllahukhairan. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.